Hey guys, Lucid, welcome back. We're jumping back into Black Swan, turn 17, and I think this episode will probably be the lead up to the war with Calum. We aren't going to be attacking them quite yet, but we won't be that long in doing it either. So a message has arrived from Roos. Here's how Oleg and Bebe plan to rescue Bobo. Step 1, Oleg get a long rope, while Bebe make a borscht out of that is Bobo's favorite. It's funny. Okay. Here we go. So this is us attacking the horse tribe. If you recall, we were queuing that up. And the goal... One problem you can see in this is these guys are slower in combat. Their combat speed 8. These guys are 11. So these guys kind of jam up the formation and they don't really make contact any faster. So either having these guys on hold and fire or just position them a little farther back so that these guys stay at the front. But then again, against horse tribe archers, you really want to get in there and throw your javelins as quickly as possible because Peltasts are certainly not known for surviving heavy archer fire. I mean, they have shields and like light leather armor, but not too much. Okay, here come the salvo of javelins. You can see they're actually reasonably effective. So what was happening there is as my first wave got in range of their javelins, the second wave kind of was blocked out from getting in range. So as the first wave has thrown their javelins, they run into combat, and then the second wave get in position and they start shooting. It's fine. How harassed these guys are. No, not terribly. Yeah, harassment's not playing a huge part in this. Yeah. They tend to kind of die before they get terribly harassed. But, like, these guys must be, no? No, still not. Oh, come on. Only one harass penalty? Okay, I'm calling horse shit. Okay, this guy's defense skill 6, so he's been harassed down. And these guys, I think, have little shields, too, so... Yeah, the shields stop working once they get harassed down. Okay, we got him. So we took very minimal losses here. 20, which, honestly, 20 Peltasts is just the price you pay for doing business. We found a site in Mekone, which is nice, because, you know, you're going to have that all game, unless you lose. So we got a nice little Water 1 site out of an event. Outgoing diplomacy, none. We are continuing to poop out Peltasts here, and we're basically going to prepare to take this throne. So these guys can actually, fortunately they can move all the way here. I'm not even sure the route they're tracing to get there. I guess it's through this and up here. So they're pretty high mobility. Yeah, they're pretty high mobility here. What is our map? How is that only 12? I guess this is high. No, it's mountains. I guess mountains don't have as high of movement cost. Yeah. Maybe it's only highlands that have movement cost that's high? I don't even know. I was not expecting to be able to move here, but I could. And we will take the developers up on that. So we're going to move here. And then we're going to probably consolidate everybody from here and here. We're going to have a big freaking army come march here and take this throne. And then with that, we're probably going to take this army and then march it right down to Calum's capital, which is right here. So that is kind of my plan. I don't know if we're going to announce it to Calum. We definitely haven't napped them. And this is the portion of the game where you know who you've napped and who you haven't. So Calum knows that I haven't napped him. And the thing is, like, to say you have an advantage over a nation because you have Peltasts is not something you say very often, but it is an advantage I have over Calum. Because a lot of shitty Peltasts are going to kill birds by the droves. Like, he cannot fight me with birds. He can fight me with other stuff, but... Okay. Turn 17, check. Is that it? I think so. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next turn, turn 18. A message from Roos. Oleg not see one minor problem in plan. Bobo heavy like bear and Oleg not able to lift up through tower. However, Borscht distracted guards not notice when Bobo walk out front door. So it turns out plan was perfect after all. Okay, we found a magic site. Enchanted Pyre. And down here we found a Farm of Plenty, one of the worst magic sites in the game. 50 supply points. AK filling up a slot so you can't get a better magic site in a province. I mean, it's so bad it's honestly not just disappointing, it's actually of negative value because it's gonna keep you from getting, you know, potentially another site there. Because there's a limited number of magic sites. Okay, so again, not much going on, but now we are preparing for our attack. And yeah, we don't... Honestly, I could have scripted this better. Like, this guy probably should have been on Summon Earth Power and then Spells. And he would have done Legions of Steel, because we're going to finish Construction 3 this turn. But anyway, I don't have that, I just have him attacking. And it's not going to make a huge difference. It probably would have saved me a few lives, but... Mostly we're just going to overwhelm them with superior numbers. In our capital, we are switching to shitting out Peltasts, because I'm going to need to just completely overwhelm Calum with sheer numbers. We're going to move up here to pick up those Peltasts. I think at this point we're getting pretty close to Satis wondering if I'm ever going to take this province back, but it's troglodytes, man. You don't fuck with troglodytes. Got our scout here preaching. Let's go ahead and go... Well, let's check diplomacy real quick now. No diplomacy, so let's go ahead and go to turn 19. And here we go. A message from Ulm. Comrades of the world. Today the presses of Ulm wish to give voice, and we are very thankful to J. Gutenberg and his magnificent invention that allows this, to our fellow shaman, H.D. Thoreau. The mass of men serve the state thus, not as men mainly, but as machines with their bodies. They're the standing army, the militia, the jailers, the constables. Yeah, I actually went back in between the last episode and recording this one and was checking if I've really given my response to the socialist musings of Ulm. And I'll just talk about it a little bit as we watch this battle in the background. My main thought is that concentrated power is actually probably the scariest thing and the thing which needs to most be avoided in modern society. And if you think about it, if you don't have huge concentrations of power, I think the state that most people want... You can see we're getting soul slayed down here. Mine burned down, which kind of sucks. A state that many people want is where they consent to most things that happen to them, like to operate in an environment of consent. And I think living in a society based on consent is extremely important. And when you have huge asymmetries in power, like you're living under a dictator, or let's say a company basically owns the local government in a town, you can pretty easily get out of a situation where you have consent. And I think the main problem with socialism is that if you take things which I think socialists are, potentially right to dream of, like a utopian factory or something, where workers have control of the factory. Like you take something like that, that can exist within a capitalist system. Like you can have people get together and create a co-op, and I mean co-ops are things that exist. Like farmers have co-ops all the time. And I mean it's tradition. I won't say it's the way things are in modern agriculture, but there were long periods of time where you would have, you know, farmers get together and they would have a mill that they would work. And it was set up in a way so that, you know, even though there was only one mill in the region, it was owned by all the farmers, so the mill couldn't rip all the farmers off. Whereas if you had one mill in the whole area, and it was owned by somebody other than the farmers, then they would kind of exploit that and rip everybody off. So you can set up co-ops, and you can run a factory as a co-op if you wanted to, and if it was successful, it could kind of maintain. But the problem is when you want to operate in an environment that doesn't involve consent, you now want to say, okay, I want to force everybody into these co-ops. The types of power that you need to organize to have that, like the government, the state, making those kind of decisions about how everybody's going to organize and forcing them to do that, it's very difficult to have a government that's going to be making all of those decisions about life and what people have to do and how they have to do things. It's very difficult to have that without also creating a totalitarian police state. And I don't want to say it would be impossible. It'd be interesting to see if people are able to kind of maintain it for any period of time. But I think it's more practical to look at how do you limit power in an open society. And I think in the modern world, what that primarily means is how do you prevent the economic elites, like corporations, from writing laws that primarily benefit them at the expense of everybody else. And I think you can still basically have like a very free market open system with a government that's with tight control of the government that prevents it from being completely just run by corporate elites. Anyway, that's my thought. Okay, so we finished that, and my musings on socialism are over. So we're going to search here and patrol. I probably should have started building a fort, too. Because I know I do want to fort this. The throne is the throne of the first stage, which gives us a lot of dominion spread and gives our blessed troops +1 magic resistance. We don't really have blessed troops very much. We have these guys, which... whatever. And we are moving troops down this way. At some point we are going to take this back, but not yet. Still no messages. In our capital, we're continuing to just mass produce Peltas, and we're also getting our first of the Elder Cyclopses. We're going to want them for a few reasons. One is they're going to give us air items. The second is I'm kind of thinking I want them as super combatants. I can either empower them in air to get them to air 2, or 1 in 4 of them is going to be an air random, and then they can cloud trapeze. And that will be very good for picking off Kalem raiding squads, which are otherwise very, very hard to deal with. Because you have to predict their movement, which... good luck predicting map move 2 flyers where they're going to go. And I don't really want them creaming into all my things, but... and the upside is potentially you can catch an army out with this super combatant that, you know, they weren't expecting. So, that is that. Let's go ahead and go on to turn 20. The player who plays, since we're kind of talking about it this episode, the player who plays Alm, he and I sometimes get into political discussion in Discord. So, he and I have essentially had some of this discussion already. Okay, so we found a gorge, which is nice. Now, all these events are the national events we get. So we got a Cryptes, which is basically our assassin, and he got 20 XP. This guy got 60. Group of zealots joined. We got some gold. The zealots we're basically going to kill off. Worldwide event, heat has gone up and misfortune has gone up. Okay. So, we're moving a commander to come pick up these flagellants, who, if you have a bless that's incidentally good, this can be a nice bonus, but we don't. So, okay, here's where we caught the Zabalban scout. We can see Marverni making moves to take the lake system. He's gotten a bunch of little mermen that he's going to use to go march underwater. I don't think I even could contest. I don't have any mermen or anything. Later in the game, once I have water and stuff, I can send thugs underwater potentially. So we might look to do that and challenge some of the water systems. But honestly, this is Pelagia and Theodoros. So the idea of like fighting Pelagia for a bunch of essentially population decimated underwater stuff, I'd probably not rather do that unless they want to pick a fight. But and then I would be willing, if I get into a war with Marverni later, fighting over these lakes. And things like Shambler skin armor on some of my old men with earth randoms, I mean, you know, with iron skin and Shambler armor, they're going to be pretty good underwater. We do have to deal with things like poison, so I need to think about what item I would put on them to deal with the poison that comes on a lot of troops. Because if you try to thug underwater, you really kind of need poison resistance in a lot of cases. So that's turn 20. We are moving out our big army now, and this is going to be an indicator to Calum that we're going to attack. Like, if you're Calum and you see this group come to your border, and there's no more Indies nearby, you basically know what's happening if you don't have a nap with that person. We're also moving out another big squad here, which is going to basically be raiding more or less. The other thing we want to have, and we're not going to have it now, but we're going to have it in 2 turns, is flaming arrows. So we're moving out guys with fire gems, just so that we'll have it when we need it. Like, this guy's got fire gems too. So anyway, that's kind of the thinking. One thing I didn't think about is that I don't think I realized at this point that we were camping on top of a Well of Misery, and we're also starving our troops. And it's something I do really bad for this first portion of the game, is I starve my troops all the time. And really, I think if you're going to play with Peltas, you need... Part of the problem is, like, one of the strengths of the nation in the early game is you can shit out Peltasts, but you don't have any nature mages, so you can't even reliably make... we need to start getting these shamans, by the way, but you can't... I mean, we have some, but like, we need to make bags of wine and stuff. Put them on scouts. Send them with our armies, but we're not doing that. We don't, honestly, like, I'm at turn 50, and I'll just give you a little secret. We haven't started doing it even by then. But by that point, we're going to be less reliant on Peltasts, because they kind of suck, but we're still going to use them. We're just not going to be as all in on them. Turn 20. Okay. We're at 18 minutes. I think we're going to go ahead and go one more turn, and this will take us to the brink of the war with Calum, which starts on turn 21. Okay, so a message has arrived from Ulm. I'll let you guys read this. Profit their utopian socialism. Trademark. Engagement with the Centauri capitalism and stomped their imperialist war of slavery against... Okay, so this is actually real information. Ulm is now fighting Pangaea. Maybe Ulm wins in the war. Maybe I was because I think in the previous episode I said they lose. Maybe they win against Pangaea. Either way, I think he and Pangaea were smack-talking each other in terms of political ideology, which is kind of funny. So anyway, I guess we're going to have the two nations and ideologies square off in war. Another message from Bobo. If any of you want to read that, you can pause. And here we go. New trade routes have opened. So yeah, one of my favorite events. I don't actually know the requirements on that. I don't know if you need order or productivity or something for that. I love that event though. So okay, raiding is going to start. We're going to have this guy leading some peltasts just on fire, and there's a good chance this will deal with whatever he's got. Now, Calum is going to know we're going to attack. In fact, he sends me a message in Discord saying, hey, I assume you're attacking me. And I'm like, yeah. And he kind of, at this point, he gets angry with me, basically. He says, I'm only dogpiling, because apparently he's also engaged in a war down here with TNN. And I think TNN kind of told me casually that he was fighting Calum or something like that. I don't even really know. It certainly wasn't really part of my plan. I was going to attack Calum anyway. And I have no idea how committed Salem is to fighting TNN, who's down here. But, yeah, I definitely want to deal with the Calum neighbor before they have Fog Warriors. They're really the only neighbor I think I have a very strong military advantage against right now, too. Like, fighting Satis would be horrible. I could probably fight Machaca if I wanted to. But again, they could do Skelly spam and... yeah, Machaca I think would be okay. They're probably a good time to fight Machaca. EA Machaca's strong, but that would be a fun nation to lose to, too. I still haven't seen Machaca win. I think they could. And they're also in a pretty harsh conflict, I think, with Agartha. So here we go. Anyway, we're rolling in. I probably should have done conservative gem use, so I might burn some of those gems. This fort is 250. Oh, wait, no. 250. So, in all likelihood, we're going to one-turn crack it. The question is, do we storm, or do we keep marching for their capital? And right now, I'm thinking we march for their capital. In terms of outgoing diplomacy, we probably send a message to Calum. Yeah. Good luck, sir. Because, yeah, this is a pretty big televised move. You know, if you're an elf nation, you can kind of take out 4 or 5 of their provinces all at the same time, but we're humans, so we're just going to go after 3. I assume he has some counterattack plan, too. Though probably less so if he's involved in a war with TNN. We're upgrading this too. It is important too to have kind of high-leveled forts. Otherwise, you can have a swarm of birds jump in and pop it. And like, let's think about how bad it could be. Like, let's say there's a big army here, and this army could reach here. If I move this army south, and at the same turn, he's like, I know he's going to attack me, so I'm going to take 300 birds and fly them up here. Like, if he does that, then like he could easily one-turn pop this fort. And then mages don't really do shit against birds. Like, I could potentially thug these guys out, and then they might do okay, but yeah. I don't really have thug items. So anyway, yeah, in general, he can just fly in and one-turn pop my fort. So getting these upgraded to a slightly better fort is important. So we're going to have kind of one turn of vulnerability, which I don't think he's really prepared for. And then after that, we'll be in better shape. Okay, so that is turn 21 and the end of this episode. I'll see you guys next time.